Hey everyone, it's Kevin Debs here with our illustrious panel. We've got Tracy Gagne and Hank Bertodatto, Hammer and Hank down here in Southwest Florida. Tracy's up in Western Mass. I imagine at some point today, we might have a guest appearance from Kelly Duncan-Smith way out west in Las Vegas here on December 5th. But Pre-K to Mastery is in its 7th episode. And boy, we keep getting tighter and tighter. I'll tell you, it's fun, but we're here today as we kind of segue into the holiday season. We've all had a very healthy and happy and heartful Thanksgiving. But before we get to Christmas and Hanukkah and the holidays, we wanted to talk about, as we go into the new year, about some of the laws of attraction, whether it be attracting agents to your business, whether it be attracting buyers and sellers to represent in your business for real estate. We felt like it was a good topic. And, I happen to be invited along with some of our people listening in today. We were invited into a presentation, great way to have like an offsite. We were on a cruise down to the Bahamas. So, if all of you feel like you're freezing or trapped in your current business, please feel free to comment offline. I'll tell you all about how you can have your office meetings on a cruise. It was really pretty neat. It was great. So much fun. But what was so much fun about that is we had a real master of attraction on the boat, a guy that's in some of our businesses here at EXP, Gene Frederick. And Gene was fantastic. He was the #1 attractor. 6 out of the last 9 years he was at his previous employer. And I think in 2014, his last year there, he had something like 365 people he had attracted to his business as, his agency, his brokerage. And he really talked about, one of the greatest coaches of all times, in fact, and voted the greatest coach in the 20th century, was John Wooden. And everybody went around the room and he had $20 held up. He said, I want you to guess what is the #1 reason for success. And everybody whiffed. And then he kind of gave us a hint, and it's habits. Okay. So whether you're attracting agents to your business or you're attracting buyer and sellers to represent, you want to develop great habits. And he went into certain elements of that we can get into this discussion. But I think what was so great about it too, and this applies to everybody, and I raised my hand because this was right up my alley. One of the things that Gene is great at, and what is made him such a master at attraction, is he's able to tell when people have their guard up. If that guard or that gate is closed, he has a way of just shutting up. And I say this because we all understand that, and just letting people kind of discuss where their pain point is, what their reason for doing certain things is, and he lets them talk about things. But he can kind of get a sense of if somebody's receptive potentially to the material or the information he's going to share when it's time for him to share. And I think that's so important. Being respectful of somebody, it shows you care, shows you have real thought about representing that buyer or seller or representing that agent in the course of business. And it was telling, because I pride myself on my ability to follow up. Sometimes I impale myself on the closed gate. The gate's closed and I'm running headfirst into that gate going, no, I can get that open. And it's not to be. And, you end up giving people the wrong impression. You genuinely care about them. You'd love to be able to work with them, help them, and be able to provide great service for them. But if they're not receptive to it, that gate's closed. And then that gate's closed for a long time because the only thing they remember is you trying to force that gate down. So it was really great for me to be able to listen to that. I've had some success with attraction, but you're never too old or never too successful to learn. So what I'd love to do is go to Hank. Hank's a coach, a teacher, a mentor here in Southwest Florida, and does such a great job with it. But Hank is often, had times to show people, like, let's help you get out of your own way, and including our own selves. It's really about what's the best way to effectively deal with people is what it comes down to. So Hank, I'll turn the mic over to you and welcome everybody. It's great to have you.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. I really appreciate it, and super excited to be on here again. And just a quick a shameless plug about this Pre-K to Mastery. I actually had an agent who hasn't attended live, but he is watching these recorded videos. And he was in my class the other day doing his post-licensing here in Florida. And he was like, Hank, dude, thumbs up, great videos. I'm getting so much out of them. And I was like, that's awesome, Ryan. So Ryan, if you're watching here, man, I really appreciate that, and glad that we're able to kind of touch what you're doing. But this all ties into attraction. We're able to attract agents to this Pre-K to Mastery and really help their businesses. Like Ryan had told me, like, hey man, these are really good topics. I'm really getting gold nuggets out of these, and I really appreciate it. And what this attraction comes down to, and how I equate it is, I mean, Gene Frederick's a master. He's amazing at this. But for me, it's really about building that rapport with them. Okay. And that rapport is so important. And to be able, like you said, to kind of turn it on or turn it off when you need to, and figuring out when can I talk and when do I just need to zip it, is extremely important as well. But one thing that's really made me successful, and Gene and I have actually talked about writing a book, is the fact that when we're talking about building rapport and doing it at a very, very high level, you just have to be able to sit there and find out, what is important to them at the end of the day. Okay. And you're sitting there, and within 2 to 3 minutes, I'm able to find out, where are you from? Because it's really easy in Florida, because no one is from Florida. Okay. It's just the absolute truth. We're all from somewhere else. There's a melting pot down here. So I'm able to find out, where are they from? And then can I relate that way? Are you from the Midwest? Great. I'm from Michigan. I'm from the Midwest. Okay. We start that connection there. We start that attraction there. What are your hobbies? What do you like to do? What are you doing down here in Florida? Are you retired? Do you have any kids? What is important to you? And it kind of goes back to what Tracy said a couple episodes ago in that Ford, the FORD, really finding out. And I'll let Tracy talk about that. I don't want to get into that and steal her thunder, but that rapport is the biggest thing for me. And that helps with that attraction. And this doesn't only go for, agents you may be trying to attract to your business, whether you're a recruiter or really buyers and sellers. Okay. Because at the end of the day, it's really not about selling something. And I really hate the word kind of recruit and sell. Mm-hmm. And that's just me. I think they're kind of dirty words, and no one likes to be recruited, and they don't like to be sold on something. They want to be attracted to something. So not only are we really good at building that rapport, but the other thing I'll kind of put out there is we get a lot of attraction through being involved in the community. Okay, so my wife and I, we are huge into the community. We're actually on a board of Derek's Mission Foundation, and on the recorded video, I'll throw a link down there. Kind of a shameless plug. What we do is we are actually building sober homes in Lee County. And it's something very passionate of Gina and I. We've lost some friends to addiction, unfortunately. And so we want to try and make a difference. And because of that mission, and because we're on the board there, there's a lot of people that, say, Hank, we love what you're doing. By the way, what do you do besides this? And we say, oh, by the way, we sell real estate, and if you have anyone that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, we'd love to help them as well. Just like, we help the foundation. So, and what that is called is, that's called actually championing a cause. Okay. So you really got to get behind something. And if you get behind that, then I can guarantee you people will be attracted to you and what you're doing. And then ultimately that will really, really, really help with your business and wherever you're trying to attract to. So whether it's you're attracting sellers, whether you're attracting buyers, whether you're attracting agents, whether you're attracting just anything to help out your cause. So that's really the big points there. And I know I kind of threw a lot at, everyone right there, but hopefully there's something that you can take away either in the rapport building stage, the attraction phase, to really get someone attracted to your business and what you're doing.
That's great points, Hank. And I'll do a little recap, because there's some really good stuff. You touched on some things that we necessarily complimented what we said on the cruise, the working cruise, if they will. But Tracy, if I could segue to you, we all talk about frameworks. We all talk about guidelines. We talked about habits, but within that, you have to be able to apply your personality, your style to it. And, you've had some great success, obviously, being your brand in Western Massachusetts. So, as we talk about this, and we talk about attracting buyers and sellers to our business and other real estate professionals, could you touch a little bit on about how you've been able to shed some light and be able to brand yourself with obviously, as Hank and I can be biased, a great personality and a great way about you. We would love to hear from you just a couple things that you think are really important in what you've been able to develop that rapport that Hank talks about.
Well, I just wanted to say that the more that we do these and the more I get to know you guys, the more grateful I am that we are in fact involved in this together. because I think you guys are just such a inspiration, and I think that, you bring a lot to my life, and I hope I can bring you some of the same value. So to touch on what you said, I'm such a doer. It's very hard for me to shut this and listen with both of these. Okay, because I'm all about getting it done, knowing what the solution is, and moving forward and providing that to everybody. And sometimes that's not what they want. And it takes the power away from them too. So when we are chatting with people, it's so important, like, to go back on what Hank said, to go back to the family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, and listen to what they're telling you, and not assume that, and don't prepare for what you're going to say next. Let the conversation flow naturally, so that way you're immediately looked at as somebody who they can rely on and confide in and trust, because that's truly what you have to be to them. And the moment that you're not that, then you can count yourself out of the game. And that goes for working with buyers, with sellers, with attracting agents to your brokerage, CXP specific. It also goes to, if you are somebody who, truly has someone else's best interest at heart, and you are living a high level yourself, and they see you doing that, they're immediately going to gravitate towards you. I think Alan's last 3 transactions were from buyers who had really bad experience with other real estate agents. They fired their real estate agents, and they actually were going to stop the home buying process because the experience was so poor for them. So because we have developed such a reputation in the area, and because he does such a good job with his buyers, these people came to us. We didn't go look for them. They came to us. They were referred to us by other people. And the base of my listing business is also the same way. Somebody had a really bad experience, and the other agent didn't communicate. They didn't feel like they were advocating for them. They just felt like, they showed up one time and then there was no further communication. They had no idea what's going on. So being engaged and staying engaged and showing people that they're important to you is important in life, and not just in business. Mm-hmm. So I just, and I think it was Ziegler that said, you help more, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if you help enough people get what they want, then you're going to get what you want. And that's something that I truly believe. Mm-hmm. So having a standard, having a system, having follow through, having follow up, and having all that itinerized is something that's very, very important to us.
It's a great point, and we keep touching on habits that we've developed to make us successful, right? And strengthening those habits. And so some of the things that, going back to what, like I said, some of the guests on the call and certainly myself heard on Saturday into Sunday was, don't be salesy, right? Mm-hmm. You got to be your natural self. Hopefully that is good enough for people to feel a comfort level with you, and that you're thoughtful and that you care about it. And one of the things that we've heard from time to time, and I don't know if everybody's heard it, but T-May, tell me about yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Let's hear a little bit. So if it's a buyer or seller, it's like, tell me a little bit about yourself. What brings you to us today? What a compliment for you and to see Alan, right? To see, unfortunately, somebody else in the industry that just didn't have that approach or that thoughtfulness, and it led them to somebody who said, hey, you know what? I've got a great referral. They have a great reputation, great personality, great people. And it's not about us at the end of the day. It's not about the people that are, approaching them about a service or a business. It's about them. We want to show them that we care about them, because we do. At the end of the day, we care so much. We would like them to do immediately what we want. And that's the hardest thing of all, right? Is to, and this is the part that it's the be quiet. It's the shut up. It's to let them expand on what their why is. What is their pivot point? What is causing them some pain? What is their drive or their passion for doing what they're doing and bringing them to you today? So those things, don't being salesy, T-May, tell me about yourself, kind of being quiet or shutting up, depending on what region of the country you are. I'm fine with shut up. I've heard that since 3rd grade, so that's fine with me. And it's just not about me. It's about them. You care about them. And one of the things that was brought up, which was great, whether you're approaching an agent or a buyer or seller, it's kind of the takeaway, right? We're not here to talk about what I want to talk about. Let's talk about the business you want to talk about. So if that's an exit strategy or a business plan, let's talk about your business plan. I'll bring mine, you bring yours. Let's have lunch. You know what? I don't want to talk to you about the agency I'm working for. Let's do that later. Let's just talk about and see if our goals align. And then, you know what? If you have something really special to show them, when they see your goals, they're going to see it, right? Because they're going to get a chance to expand on what they do for a business strategy over 1, 3, and 5 years. And when you show them certain elements of your business plan that they don't see in theirs, they're going to ask you about that. They're going to go, hey, wait a minute, where are you coming up with that? How is that a possible source of success for you? And you'd say, well, I'm glad you asked. Let me go ahead and segue that. Since you brought it up, the gate's open, right? So these are things that were enlightening for all of us to hear, that somebody took the time, cared about us. We're all part of, in a way tied to this person, but he really does care. He's all about changing lives. And so if that is your passion, to the Zig Ziglar point, you help enough people help themselves, you're going to get some of the things that you're looking for, as you said. And I know I'm saying it a little differently. I think that's really, really important for them to say, because this guy, he loves helping people. He's a helper, man. He's a giver. So it's great. So, I'll take a step back. See, I know, Tracy, you'd like to add some things, and I'm sure Hank has some thoughts too, but let's get those habits down for everybody listening.
Well, I think about this too. If you get yourself in the habit of really putting other people first and listening to them, think about what that not only does for your business, but what it does for your family. Mm-hmm. And what your family life now looks like when everybody's heard. Your kids listen. Look, true story, your kids listen more when you stop telling and start listening and responding rather than reacting. Dynamics change, and everybody wants to be heard, even if it's just to vent, even if it's just to share frustration. Let them have that opportunity, because that's where you're going to get your true value from. You're going to hear from them exactly what they need. And then you can decide if it's something you can provide them or not. Because sometimes you can't, right? Let's be real. We can't do everything for everybody. But the majority of the people, their complaints and their frustrations are basically the same throughout. I don't want to minimize it. But there's a lot of similarities through life, right? So if we can put ourselves in the position to listen and to help, then you become better. You just become better by doing so. But you have to be aware of it. And I know, and that's an awareness that comes from practice. Not everybody has that. I know, again, I'm a teller, I'm a doer, I'm a high D, do it. So it's a conscious effort for me to back that off and just relax and listen to what's happening on around me a lot of times. What are you laughing so much for?
I know we're laughing because we could see ourselves.
No. I'm laughing for something totally different, and it actually is very relative here. So I spent some time up with in Western Mass recently. We had that event up there for Tracy and Kelly and the rest of the team, and it was absolutely awesome. And Tracy and I were talking about different things about givers and takers, and it was really funny because I went on to go see a property with Tracy because I had some time, and went to see, and Tracy's on the phone with this person. She's just listening and listening and listening. And then all of a sudden she just says, "Nobody gives a shit about your dirty ass curtains." And I'm sorry, I'm not going to be a little PC. Okay. But it's 1,000% relevant right now. Because this person, all they want to do was vent. And I think it was a seller of yours, Tracy, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was.
And they were like, should we keep the curtains? What should we do with them? And then Tracy just out of the blue says, no one gives a shit about your dirty ass curtains. And
can we possibly name this episode "Nobody Gives a Shit About Your Dirty Ass Curtains"? Can we do that? This will be the most widely spread communication we ever do. It'll be the highlight of the entire pre-K to master.
I'm surprised Hank was able to stay on the road at that point. So we're actually driving. He's like, wait, what?
I was just like, what the heck? But it's so relevant. And the reason it's relevant is Tracy just hit it on the head. Like, for real, sometimes we just got to listen. And then we got to give them our honest 2 cents sometimes. we just got to put it in there. But for us to sit there and listen, yeah, I'm crying too. I'm laughing so hard.
Well,
For us to just listen, and then obviously Tracy had a good enough relationship that she could use that language. And that's kind of how Western Mass is anyways. But at the same token, it's about our personalities and us being real. Okay. But it also comes down to setting those expectations in the beginning, being proactive versus reactive, and giving our real thoughts on it. I see too many agents that are sugarcoat, talk. No, like, listen, sometimes we just got to be real. Like, hey, this is happening. This is the game we're in. This is the expectation. Either, we're going to live with it or we're not going to live with it. Okay. And this is me as a person, and I'm going to tell you about your dirty curtains. Okay. And who cares and who doesn't care. Okay. But at the end of the day, attraction is also about us being real. Like Tracy said earlier, like, they can tell for fake. Okay. They can tell if the BS meter is at high alert or not. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, be real. Don't be fake. Attract people to what you're doing because you're doing it for the right reasons at the end of the day, and you will be rewarded. And not only you, but your family, the people around you, your sphere, so on and so forth. So I just had to throw in the dirty ass curtains today, and hopefully it made a lot of sense and was relevant.
Well, totally.
Well, you know what? I mean, go ahead, Trace. Go ahead.
Well, and what I was going to say is that was a really tough transaction for her. She was selling her family home, going through a divorce. Okay. And she was bearing the brunt of it. And she was looking for me for honesty throughout the entire transaction and guidance throughout the entire transaction. And we developed a relationship where I was able to truly communicate with her in a way that would make her laugh and she wouldn't be offended with, because she needed that in her life.
Mm-hmm.
And if she wasn't a strong woman, I wouldn't have gone that direction with her. But she was very, and again, people can see through that bullshit meter a mile away. They are getting, think about this. How many people are on Zillow? If they click on a property, how many people are calling them? Facebook ads, how many people are calling them? They are getting solicited multiple times a day by multiple different people. And you can't be that person that's doing the same thing they're doing. You have to come from contribution. You have to come from care. You have to put yourself out there, right?
It makes total sense, and I applaud it. And, it goes back to that, right? So you weren't salesy. I mean, if we're just being serious about the delivery, it's a fantastic line. But you weren't salesy.
I actually tweeted it. That's why I was waiting for my tweet, because I wanted to get it word for word. Because I looked over and I was like, "Did you just say that?" And I said, "What?" She didn't even believe that she said it, but I tweeted it so that I have public record of what Tracy said for life.
Tremendous, though. But it sheds light that she cared enough and she was honest, right? And if you care enough about the person, you have to let them see yourself, and you have to give them an honest opinion. And you know what? For that seller, it was probably an eye-opener too, because she has to care enough about who that potential buyer may be to not, put herself first and be like, I'm focusing on the wrong things here. The overall thing is to put somebody in this house and get as much enjoyment out of it as I did. Yeah. And at a value to them and a value to me.
And it took so much pressure off of her. Again, it lightened up her whole day. And she actually wrote me one of the best, the review almost made me cry. I mean, the letter she sent me afterwards almost made, and she was a referral from a KW agent. So
you think about that. You now have that agent, or you should say that person for, it's a relationship.
It's a relationship with both that is solid.
Yeah.
And one that I am very, very grateful for. Again, we can't help everybody. Some problems are beyond our scope, but those that we can help and those that we can help lighten their burdens and put a smile on their face and help them work through their processes I feel are truly grateful, again, just to be heard and listened to and given some basic, maybe not even basic advice, just a shoulder or a smile or a direction.
Yeah. Makes total sense. So, all right. So those are good habits, right? Those are great habits, right? Being able to listen is one of the lost arts in our world. And shutting up, right? It's something we have to be reminded every day, because we get excited, we get passionate about it. And all of a sudden we're on a story about a squirrel going up a tree and we're like, oh my God, where did I take this conversation? This has nothing to do with what they're talking about. and it's like you just feel yourself like, have I talked too much? You're right, and crickets in the crowd. So
Oh, you know when you hit that moment too.
Yeah.
And
It's
backtracking
awkward.
from that is it's not fun.
Yeah.
It's so awkward.
Yeah, because you're backpedaling and you're like, ah!
You know it and they know it, and then you just have to break that ice, rip that Band-Aid off and say, all right, let's get back on track because I don't know where the hell that came from.
Yeah.
The look of confusion is never a good look, right?
Yeah.
So, but you know what, too? Another thing, as we talk about this and we just kind of segue into the final portion of our program, game plans, right? As we kind of talk about harnessing these habits and making them stronger and making it more of a repetition and learning from our own mistakes more and more so that the areas of development become less and less and more we focus on the areas of strength. The game plan, right? If you like, one of the things that was so amazing, and Hank has seen this live, and Tracy, you'll see it, and I know some of the people here on the call have seen it. Gene still does all of his game plans on the back of a napkin. And why? Because he can stick it in his back pocket. It's with him every day. So he's got the people that he's looking to talk about in terms of a strategy or coming along and attracting to his business. He's always got his habits. He's always got a game plan about what he wants to visualize and see because it's written down and revised on a piece of paper, old school, but it's on him every day. He can pull it out right there and say, hey, what's your game plan? Well, I got to go back to my computer and my spreadsheet. Really? I got mine right here. And those things are so, like, when you break it down to the basics again in your life, because we take all these levels to get to a certain level and think that's going to be what pushes us to success. Gene was really harnessing, let's break it down to the basics and start those habits. And when we do that, you've got an ability to be unbelievably successful like he's been. And that gate of change with everybody can only open in from the inside, right? So when we start our process, we realize a lot of it is our enthusiasm and our passion about what we're doing, which we have to have, right? You want to be able to exhibit that. But that gate can only open for that person from the inside. They have to be receptive to it. And that's something I am definitely going to work on in the holiday season into 19, because I know that I can only get better. The last one in CAPS is following up. We talk about it every pre-K to mastery. And a lot of us are masters at following up. It's just what leads up to that follow-up. And the thing is that he said, we all ask the question, what happens when somebody's gate is so closed you can't get through? And you never can. He said, easy. I still follow up. I just do it at lengths of time. And I start off with, hey, you know what? I was just thinking about you. Hope you're well. How's your family doing? How's Tim doing in Little League? How's your arm healing? What's going on with your business? I make it about them and let them talk about it. And I never bring up the business. It's kind of the takeaway, right? I'm no longer going to talk about this unless you want to talk about it. But you know what? I care enough about you that we're not going to lose our friendship, our relationship, our communication just because you're not receptive to this at this time. And no kind of means not yet in the world of, so hold on to it. If you want to be optimistic about a no, just say, I've got to think about them. I've got to put them first. And I just want to care about them and see how they're doing. Because at the end of the day, if they're not ready for that, it's not going to be a great part of your strategy, buyer or seller, somebody who's coming on to be an agent. It's just not, they're not going to be at their professional best or their effective best. So, I'd open it back up to either Hank. I saw you had this up. I didn't know if you wanted to share a few more points.
No, that was great stuff. It's good to wrap up. No, I just didn't know how we were doing on time, but no, we're good. I think we had a great discussion today on laws of attraction and rapport building and, when to talk, when to listen. And I think it was extremely beneficial. And I think we had a really good laugh in the middle. So, I think there's a lot that people can kind of pull the kind of gold nuggets out of this and use in their daily life. So not just for business, like Tracy said, but personal as well. And I love that. So, and Kevin, you piggybacked on that. So yeah, all good stuff.
Great stuff. Tracy and Hank and all of our people listening in, we encourage you to, hang on to this Zoom link. I'll tell you why. If you feel like learning about a platform that's kind of unique to the marketplace and just doing your market research, Hank Bertodatto is going to be simulcasting, presenting live about the company that we all have such a pleasure working with and having a lot of fun It's EXP Explained. And Hank's going to be doing it in sunny Southwest Florida. But if you're in another region of the country, please feel free to keep this link open and take a refreshment break or an intermission of our live program. We're going to stop recording this, and then Hank's going to be live coming up here about noon, I'd say, in about 15 minutes. Yep. If you want to tune back in and see what EXP is all about, we'd love to have you. It is something we thoroughly enjoy and believe in. And I would just say to our esteemed colleague who is out west, please don't split any more sixes, Kelly Duncan-Smith. We can't afford it. We're back here live, my friend. So with that, I would close out and say thank you for joining us. As we go to the holiday season, we wish you all a happy and prosperous holidays with your family. We will be back next week, and we look forward to seeing you with another great topic. So thanks, everybody. Thanks, Hank.
Thanks, guys. Nice meeting you. Nice meeting you, Archie.